All right, in this video, I'm going to take this disc and throw it 450 feet. Simulated, of course. So this is part 2 in the standstill tutorial. I urge you, if you haven't watched part 1, please go watch it. It is crucial that you get that down before you come to this. Getting your speed up is one of the most important things you can do. Your launch and nose are only going to affect what speed you can generate. So you want to get your speed up first before you start messing around with your foot position, messing around with your brace, messing around with tilting the axis, stuff like that. So one thing I did want to cover from the last video, I got a few questions on this and I felt like I kind of need to give you guys an answer. Why are we starting in this weird pseudo one leg position? I like to refer to it as a pseudo one leg. Because we're putting most of our weight on our front leg, our back leg's only back here to push to initiate, and then it stays back here to counterweight us. Why are we starting there? We're starting there because it simplifies the brace, right? A lot of you guys have, open feet or braces that you blow over or go around, and just bad footwork in general if you're not, generating a lot of power. So what we're doing is we're breaking it down, we're simplifying it into something that you can't mess up. With your back leg so far back, it's extremely hard for me to come up and around my brace, right? It's very easy to keep my front foot parallel. So we're simplifying everything so you have a stop to throw against, right? That's what the brace is. You need something to stop you so that you can eject the disc. So we're making it super simple until we talk about the legs, which we will be talking about next episode. We're keeping it locked in a way to where you can't really mess up your brace while you work on your arm speed. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about, I got some questions on release point. So I guess the first thing to talk about with release point is it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. The first thing is your disc actually traveling on a straight line the entire throw? No, it's not. We're trying to move it on a straight line, right? But what's actually happening is we're starting it basically out away from us. We're bringing it into us, and then the rotation ripping it out of the pocket is bringing it out again, right? So if there was a straight line, the disc would be moving like this on that straight line, right? So your release point is where that last arc, right, peaks. So if you bring your back arm in early or something, you see my arc changes completely now. I come in just a tiny bit and then start arcing out. So that's going to change where my disc releases, okay? And the same thing if you move your arm too fast, right? In my last video, when I was throwing the first couple of spike hyzers, right, I misreleased them. I was here, boom, I came up across my body and my disc got too far in front of me before I rotated. And then I released it up into the right on like a 20-degree launch angle or something, okay? So release point is gonna be about timing. And I mean, timing is the key to everything we're doing here, right? We're trying to increase our arm speed to get our disc and our arm further forward before the rotation of our body happens and rips it out of the pocket. So I can give you some tips for release point stuff, but it's going to take practice. It's going to take getting your timing down and getting a consistent throw where the release point is the same each time, okay? So one thing of full release points is closing the front foot can help a little bit, okay? It's just going to lock us a little bit more into this plane and let our elbow have somewhere to go and then sling out. If I'm a little more open, right, my elbow is going to a different point before it slings out. So I'm going to have a different release point. This open would be me releasing farther forward or more open chest into the target. This close would be me releasing almost perpendicular to the net. My body perpendicular to the net. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we talked about the off arm. If you're rushing your off arm or trying to rotate faster than your arm can keep up, your release point is going to be all wacky, okay? Because you're going to cut off your pocket at some point, whether it's here, 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 here. We need to get to the disc to the exact same spot every single time so that we can have a consistent width out, okay? And I'm sure you've heard this in a lot of other YouTube videos. We're not actually releasing the disc directly in a straight line. We're releasing it more at 11 o'clock, I think most people say. It's just somewhere before the actual spot you want the disc to fly on. Since we're arcing it around, we release it here and it carries a little bit to the straight line. Okay, so to work on your release point, what I like to do is, I talked about this last video, straight line with the disc. This is straight away from my target, so that when it comes in, out, release, it's going to come back online to that straight line. My reach back is telling it where to release. Okay, that's release point. Let's talk about launch angle. So we're going to do some throws today, and we're going to take what we learned last time, and we're going to try to construct a 450-foot backhand throw. The first thing we need to do is fix our launch angle. You can look back to the last video. Launch angles were all over the place. Okay, we weren't focused on that. While you're in your pseudo one leg, while you're working on your arm speed, trying to break 55, trying to break 60, trying to break 65, don't focus on where exactly you're throwing disc, how much hyzer you're putting on it, any of that stuff. Your body might like to be on a little bit more hyzer to get more speed, or a little bit less. Okay, so we want to find where the speed is and dial the speed in, and then we can go back and we can start tweaking the little numbers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is launch angle. By the way, I tried to give you guys a different angle this video so you can see a little bit different, and you can see the net where I'm hitting. So let me know if that was good. Launch angle. So basically, I measured this, and I'm about 7 feet away from my net, and I'm aiming at a point 5 feet up on the net. Okay, for me, it's right above the fence line. You know, it's about 4 squares down on my net. That's where I'm going to be aiming, right, to get my launch angle down. For you, you're going to have to take your own net. You're going to have to stand your own distance away from the net. You have to figure out what, you know, somewhere between 7 to 10 degrees of launch angle is, right? And don't beat yourself up too bad if you can't hit 8.00, 8.00. Nobody does that, okay? Nobody's hitting exact launch angles every single time, right? If you can get within 1, and I like to aim for 8. If I can get 7 to 9, even 10, right? That's good for me. So today we're going to take this pseudo one leg and we're going to try to hit, you know, a few throws from 7 to 10 launch angle. I may fast forward this to make the video a little faster if it goes too long. So let's get started. We're back in our regular stance. We're back exactly how we were last time, throwing on a straight line. We're using our pseudo one leg. We've got our foot in the same position. We're Niklas Anteling the hands. Everything's the same. The only difference is we're aiming for a certain square on this net, okay? So I'm going to try to hit around 8, 9 launch angle. Come on. Give me a 10. 9.4. Sweet. Okay. So you're going to have to practice that until you can get your launch angle somewhere between 7 to 10 every time. Okay? That's step 1. And the reason we address launch angle before nose angle is because nose angle is based on your launch angle. So if I throw upward, right, nose angle of 0 is like this. Okay? If my disc is like this, flat with the ground, and I throw upward, this is a negative nose angle because it's in relation to the line I'm throwing on. Okay? So if I throw down, it's extremely hard to get a negative nose angle because if the disc is flat and I throw downward, it's nose up. So we need to dial in our launch angle first, and then we can start dialing in our nose angle. If you don't have a tech disc, right, pick that spot 5 feet up on your net, try to stand 6, 7 feet away from your net, and start trying to drill that spot every throw, right? And then when you go on the course, think about that throw and recreate it. That's going to give you your like 8 launch angle, whatever you're aiming for, right? Now nose angle's a little different. Tech disc helps a lot with figuring out your nose angle. If you don't have a tech disc, there are a few things you can do to figure out your nose angle. You can look at how the disc flies. You can use the simulator on Tech Disc's website to check how your disc should be flying at your arm speed, if you know what your arm speed is. But in general, if your putters and your mids are going as far as your fairways, or your fairways are going as far as your drivers, you have some kind of nose issue, okay? And I recommend personally aiming for about -2 nose angle. For some of you who throw like, 60s, low 60s, even in the 50s, right? I'm gonna recommend a -4 nose angle, because you're gonna have trouble turning things over at a -2 nose angle. But for those of you who are throwing 65 plus, I like -2 because it gives me a little more safety at the end of the flight, and I can already turn everything over. It's more about whether it's gonna come back or not. So, nose angle tips. So remember, it's relative to launch angle. We want to make sure our launch angle is correct before we dog ourselves on our nose angle. If I'm throwing 0 launch angle and a positive nose angle, well, I can't really count myself out for that, because the disc is probably in the orientation it needs to be. I'm just throwing the wrong direction, okay? So some nose angle tips. The biggest factor in nose angle is your swing path, okay? This is why I think focusing on the swing path is so important. If you keep your elbow up, right, and the disc whips out, by opening your elbow, you're gonna have a very, very easy time getting a downward nose angle, okay? If you drop your elbow and externally rotate the disc out, you can see this side of the disc, right, is going to be up at the end of our throw when it rips out, okay? So the first thing to do is make sure you're getting an efficient ejection out of the pocket by your elbow ripping open and your arm going to straight, okay? That's the #1 best thing you can do to fix your nose angle. All the other tips I give you won't do half as much as just doing that, okay? So in saying that, there are some grip changes you can make. There are some thoughts you can have in your swing, stuff like that. The most effective one that I found is, where are you in comparison to your disc when it ejects, okay? So I've seen people who brace very hard, right? Horizontally brace very hard, and they're way back here when their arm kind of ejects, right? The issue with that is, if I start falling backwards, right, it automatically, my body is basically pulling my arm down and back, right? And that's going to make it very hard for when I'm pulling my arm down and back for me to somehow get the nose angle down. It's not going to work, okay? So one thing you can focus on is stay balanced in your hit, okay? So you should be able to throw and stay on your plant foot, especially, right, using the pseudo one leg type stance, because our brace is very good here. We're balanced on our plant leg. When we throw, we should be able to stay balanced here. If we're falling backwards, right, or forwards, blowing over our brace, we're gonna have things affecting our nose, okay? Because if I'm blowing forward, my nose is gonna want to be 2 down. If I'm falling backward, my nose is gonna want to be 2 up, okay? Grip changes. So, I recommend for most people a power grip. You can use a modified fan too. It helps if you have stronger fingers. Modified fan is gonna always be a little bit weaker than a power grip, because obviously you have less hooks holding the disc in, okay? But if you have strong enough fingers, you can make this work, and as you play disc golf, your fingers will get stronger in this position. But a power grip is probably gonna be your strongest grip. So a few things I can recommend to help with nose angle. The first thing is, don't power grip the disc like this, okay? Where all my fingers are in a row and they're perpendicular to the rim, okay? We want to power grip the disc like this. My fingers are spread out, they're diagonal, they come in one at a time. A lot of people do this and then take a grip, okay? I feel like this kind of causes this bunch up. I want my fingers spread, okay? And what that does is it allows me to get the nose down. If my fingers are like this, all bunched up together, I can't get the nose down as effectively. Where if my fingers are spread out, right, my pinky is opposing my pointer, so I can push downward with my thumb and get the nose down for the coffee, okay? And bringing us to our next tip, push down with your thumb some, okay? So your thumb, I like mine kind of here on the disc, but you can have it deeper as well. So I can throw one with it deep and with it not deep. I'll use a power grip for these. So here's the deep thumb. Definitely hurts my fingers more. Okay, so that's a 400-foot shot. That was good, and the nose angle was fine. Okay, let's try thumb pushing down on the rim. I'm gonna focus on pushing down into my pointer finger and past my pointer finger, while keeping my arm relaxed. Oh. The same throw. It's basically the exact same throw. Negative 1.5 nosing. So, although it might seem, right, like your nose angle is very controlled by your grip, the thing it's most controlled by is the rip out, is your swing path, okay? So, use the grip that feels the strongest for you, feels the most comfortable for you, and if you do find that the nose angle isn't right, you can mess around with your grip a little bit. Find what allows you to get the nose down. The next factor that's going to affect your shot is your hyzer angle, right? If you've been practicing on this pseudo one leg, your hyzer angle is going to be like 30 degrees, okay? You're going to have to throw a very flippy disc if you want to get distance. If you want to throw a more neutral disc, right, get your speed from the pseudo one leg and then slowly start moving this leg out and reducing this torso angle. Instead of being so bent over, more upright. So when I release, boom, I'm on 15 degrees of hyzer instead. That's going to allow me to throw, you know, something like a destroyer, a wraith, you know, an insanity, whatever, and not have it just stay on hyzer the whole time. That's actually how you get distance, right? You want some S flight to get like maximum distance. So for me, I've been throwing on this pseudo one leg, right? This whole session. I'm now going to start working my leg out a little bit and start trying to throw a little bit flatter. So our goal here is 20 degrees of hyzer, okay? I want to throw somewhere between 15 to 20 degrees of hyzer, and I'm going to adjust my back foot to allow me to do that. That did it. So we dropped our hyzer to 14.2 degrees. Our launch was a bit low. It looks like 4.5, but our nose wasn't quite -4, it was -1.5. Okay, so all those factors combined, our disc wasn't going downward as fast because our nose angle wasn't as low, which allowed that launch angle of 4.5 to work, okay? Yo, Editor Clint here, half-rate Editor Clint. I just wanted to thank everybody who just subbed. I got a bunch of new subs last night and I'm really appreciative of it. I hope I can make you guys some content that's gonna help out your game. I'm pretty new to this, so please give me feedback in the comments on how this video went. I tried to fix the sound a bit because it was raining outside. I tried to clip down the throws and give you guys a different angle because I got some requests for that. Yeah, I'm currently working on my new bag with Gateway Discs. I plan on competing in maybe like a month. Yeah, but I also need some feedback on what you guys want to see. Do you want to see just max distance bombs, disc reviews, on the course play? Do you want more in-depth coaching on deeper topics? You guys let me know what you want and I will make it. Peace.